Hello. I would like to make a brief video about the subject why men in general, not all, but I think most men, actually are sexually attracted to chubby girls. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I personally have observed this in my life. And I mean, right now I'm way over the line, okay, with my own fat. So I don't get hit on very often. But in the past, when I was chubby, now I'm really badly overweight. That's not healthy to be badly overweight. But when I was chubby, I was like, but if you go by the Merck manual standard, I was probably 20 or 30 pounds overweight. But in my opinion, I think that is healthy because it's also feeding the hormone system better, and this is so unscientific. But I heard that it is supporting the serotonin level, it's supporting the pituitary gland and the outlet of reproductive hormones, and all of this is much more balanced and much more abundant if you are a few pounds overweight. So if it exceeds this, if you're like 100 pounds overweight, I'm about 90 or 80 pounds overweight, that's way too much. So that's not healthy, and that's when health problems occur, like gallbladder problems, and some people have their gallbladder removed because they think that is the only problem that they have, but it is just it's a symptom of the problems, and the problems is this heavy weight, and heavy weight causing all kinds of terrible chain reactions in the body. And also if people don't exercise, and I don't exercise enough because I am too depressed, I'm not motivated enough, I'm very reclusive, I am afraid to go out there, that's dangerous. And so I've built my monastery here, and I feel safe in this monastery. And but that's not good. All of this is not good, and I can still preach health and exercise even though I am overweight. That's maybe sounds like double standard, but I can still do this, and I recommend to everybody to do it, because the more you tell other people, you'll also tell yourself at the same time, and eventually it will fulfill your whole system, this message, why you teach it to other people, and then you will go, oh yeah, I really want to do this now myself, I really want to get better. And so I have lost a few pounds, not very many. My blood sugar started to drop drastically on the raw food, but it's getting, I'm trying to balance it out now with more whole foods in general, but mainly raw and mainly fresh, mainly high water content. And I think if everybody does this, then they can heal their intestinal problems and liver and gallbladder. And I completely healed it. I completely healed my intestines. It only took about 3 weeks for this to completely heal up. The physician wanted to give me medication. I said, no, I can do this with holistic methods. And he was very nice. He was very tolerant and open for it. And when they called me up, they said, keep doing this. We recommend this to you, and this is great. And so this is wonderful, really supportive. And I wish more physicians would be this supportive. And I think the younger generation physicians are better with this. So, and eventually, I think medicine in general will completely switch over to holistic medicine and plant medicine, and food is medicine, like what all these other people say. Dr. Scholl's and the Life Regenerator guy on YouTube, and all these other people, Matt Monarch and his beautiful wife, and another lady, and so a lot of people out there who are really amazing, giving amazing information, and I hope everybody listens to those people. So yeah, I'm proof. I know it works for sure. Yeah. So, and so the subject, why men want really chubby women, is because I am very worried about all these pro-ana girls out there, and I know for sure that a lot of those girls are dying, and it makes me really, really, really sad. It's heartbreaking to see this, and a lot of those pro-ana girls are really, really sweet-natured people, and I hate to see those sweet-natured people perishing on this planet, because we need you. We need you girls. We need you to get strong. We need you to be chubby. We need you to have a few extra pounds. We need you to be in full bloom. We need you to flourish. We need you. You are the ones who should be the mothers. Just one child, or no child. But if anybody should have a child, then it would be you, the caring, kind-hearted girls. Not the ones who party, who take drugs, and who whore around, and who abandon their babies. I want the caring, the nurturing mothers to have a child, if at all, and have puppy dogs. So, and I recommend before considering a child, I recommend getting a puppy dog from shelter, or an adult dog, or any animal from a shelter, because they're waiting there to find a home, and if they don't find a home for them, they will have to be euthanized, because they are flowing over with animals. So I recommend to every person to get an animal from a dog pound or any kind of local shelter, and they don't cost very much. They just want you to cover a few costs, like the medical care that they have given the animal, and it's usually something around $50, to adopt a dog, or $60. I have adopted a basset hound before. I rescued him from being euthanized, and I had to take him to the veterinarian because he had kennel cough. It was a terrible pneumonia that he was suffering from, and because he was always freezing, always too cold in that kennel, had to sit on a bare floor and in a kennel in Pomona, and that's awful sad. They should have beds for those dogs, and they should have the temperature much higher. The temperature in those kennels should be around 70 degrees at least, between 70 and 80 degrees. That'll be the best. And they should have soft beds to sit on. They can use like those hospital type of mattresses for them. I don't know how much they cost, but if they use it for people, they can equally use it for animals as well, because animals are equally precious. So, and that's what the government should give money to. If they help out other institutions, they can help out shelters, but no, that was the first thing that was cut out when Bush got in office, and I don't know how it is handled right now under this administration. So I just wish very deeply that more funds are flowing into rescuing animals and in general animal protection groups. When I was living in LA, I was riding my bike all over the place, and when I got to places like Beverly Hills and West LA, I saw these gigantic, like building size billboards, and I was very, very, very sad and very disappointed and in disbelief almost how anybody can put such ads up. And they were ads by Calvin Klein, and they showed anorexic women hanging over public toilets. I don't think they make these same ads anymore. I think they got in trouble for this even. So I think other people were pretty appalled by this as well. And what I thought, first thought that comes to my mind is peer pressure to the fullest extent. What they're doing is they're trying to peer pressure young girls into becoming really, really skinny where the collarbones are sticking out, and they think that looks somehow elegant. And then it takes off, then it takes on a life on its own, and they become skinnier and skinnier. It becomes obsessive compulsive. It becomes BDD, body dysmorphic disorder. And that's when they see themselves as fat in the mirror, even though they are skin and bones. So their body image becomes completely distorted. And that's mental illness to the fullest extent. And so what they're doing to themselves is, of course, they're killing themselves slowly and sometimes fast even. And so I've seen a lot of people who died on the internet and in person as well. And it made me very, very, very sad. And there was a woman just 2 houses away from us when we were living in California and Northern California, and I was absolutely shocked when I heard about that she died in the hospital from starving herself to death. And it was too late when the ambulance came. She had already lost consciousness and she was dying in the hospital. And I saw her father, I saw what kind of household she was growing up in. I made the connections, and I saw that that the parents also are under total society peer pressure, and so naturally she'll think that whatever the authorities are saying is somehow good or valid, and then she listened to whatever magazines, looked at the pictures, and she thought this is how the elegant women look like. And yeah, so they see these ads, they see these pictures of the women with rings under their eyes, skin and bones, lying on some kind of public toilet and making commercial for a Calvin Klein perfume or underwear or clothing or whatever, you know. And they see it on these billboards, gigantically large, like almost supposed to appear like a god. And in these expensive fashion magazines they do it, and I think it is absolutely sad and horrific, and I don't understand it. I don't see beauty in it. I don't see a sex appeal in it. This is not the goddess of fertility. This is the god of death. And some people find that sexy, some people find that appealing, and this whole goth movement goes into that direction, you know, this whole vamp movement, dominatrix type of movement. It's very sad because that pulls people away from life, away from embracing themselves, away from embracing their own body cells. And that's terribly unfortunate because our systems want to live, our systems want to exist and be in a flow and be happy and be abundant. And those anti-life ads, the anti-life peer pressure and the anti-information that's out there and that's going around. There's even a company called Zero Books. Zero Books. It's like, as soon as I saw that name, that's the total mockery. It's a publisher of books that's called Zero Books. Like, what that's telling people, and I think it's a Christian publisher, and what they're trying to tell people is read zero books. Read zero books. No books at all. The only book, the Bible. So yeah, that's basically the message. Men really, deep down in their subconscious, in their dicks, want chubby girls. Okay, this is a fact. I have seen it myself. I have seen it in other people. When I was chubby and not fully overweight, even though I have a very unusual face, I don't have the Swedish type of face like like all these stunning beauties like Pamela Anderson and Anna Nicole Smith and the Hemingway daughters have. Those are all these stunning Viking beauties, the Viking goddesses. My face is very different to that. It couldn't be more different. I have a very unusual face, and I stand for my face. I sometimes, when I'm very depressed, I think, oh, I want to cut here and there, but that's when I'm really, really depressed. So when I'm feeling good, I look in the mirror and say, okay, this is just how it is. This is how my face is, I like myself. I'm a good person. I have to embrace this face. There's nothing wrong with this face. It's an artistic face, And I happen to be an artist. It's my art. So yeah, so it's good to embrace the way you are. Even your fat. Fat is helpful. The fat is nourishing. The fat is there for you, to give you nourishment, to give you protection. In the past, we evolved like this to gain fat in order to protect ourselves from famines. Today we don't have famines anymore, and that's why people are so incredibly overweight. So many, because they don't exercise, they eat too much, and there's no famine. So naturally people gain a whole lot of weight, and that's not healthy. And so 10,000 years ago they had to work extremely hard for these calories, so they didn't gain weight. And the women, they were all skinny, probably skinnier than most average people, much skinnier. And and actually that's why in the Middle Ages, so when there were still food scarcities, the rich people had enough to eat, and they were the ones that were as fat as I am, over 200 pounds, like around the 235 pound range, which I am. Even Jesus was depicted as that. I talked about this in my other video, and all the women were depicted as that. And Rubens and Raphael and Leonardo da Vinci, they all painted them chubby because they had their fat deposit for harsher times, and that was regarded as rich, and that was regarded as sexy. And today it's turned absolutely in the absolute opposite extreme, because somewhere in the 60s the photo models, they started to be skin and bones, and then everybody caught on to that, and they went, oh, this looks elegant. This is how the real elegant rich people go to dinner. You know, where the woman has this collarbone here. Still, you don't see any collarbone here, but this collar with the, if the fat is gone, collarbone maybe a little bit here, no, but it's not round. It will stick out like this, and they think this is really elegant and noble or something, or sophisticated. No, it's not. It's just peer pressure, stupidity. It comes from a feeling of unempowerment. You know, people who feel unempowered, they need to prove this to themselves and other people. And this is not, there's no healthiness in it at all, neither mental nor physical. So I want people to come to their senses and embrace themselves the way they are. And my mother is falling for the same peer pressure. She thinks that looks ordinary when you have a little bit fat on you. And she is constantly berating me on really take it to your heart, lose the weight, you will feel so much better, and all of this. I agree to a certain degree, I should lose a few pounds, but I'm never ever gonna become skinny because I don't want to. I don't like it. I'm never gonna look like one of these people with their hair long and maybe even bleached. Oh my gosh. How can anybody bleach their hair? If you have dark hair, that's caused by pigments in the hair that are supposed to protect you. They're supposed to protect you. Again, it's something there that is good for you, you know, to have pigments in your hair and also in your eyes. And I have quite dark brown eyes with a little bit dark green in it. And that's supposed to protect my eyes. My dog has extremely light blue eyes. The vet said, oh, poor eyes, when he saw him for the first time, when he was 4 months old. And he said, oh my gosh, he has to be protected from the sun. You know, he should not go to the sun. One time we went hiking with him for the first time to the beach, and it was early in the afternoon and it was way too bright. We should have gone later, and he was just shocked by this light that came from the beach. He just wanted to turn around and run, and it was horrible. But then he got used to the beach, and he really loved playing in the sand. But we had to, and he would never wear sunglasses. He would shake that off himself. So yeah, so this albinism, you know, this very light-skinned and the light blue eyes, that's not exactly helpful. Those, I think those individuals, they didn't make it, particularly not in the regions that have a lot more sunlight, like California or Portugal or North Africa or Africa in general, or South America. You know, people who are albinos there, they have to hide themselves in the shades all the time because it can actually burn the eyes out. It can damage the retina. And so because of that, we have to go hiking with him only when the sun is setting. So then it is the best, and he feels the best too. So these really light blue eyes, they are not that practical when you live in climates that have a lot of sunlight. And but the all black dogs, they should not be exposed to sunlight either too much because it absorbs the heat too much. So all black dogs or very dark colored dogs should also be kept in the shade. So other than that, they probably have very dark irises, and that is like a sunshade by itself, and so they wouldn't have as many problems in the sunlight, so they shouldn't look directly in the light either, but never shine a flashlight in a dog's eyes. But they're not as sensitive. Their eye light is not going to burn out because when they're playing in the sun or at noon or something. But the ones with the light blue eyes, they should be protected at all times from the sun and only go out at sunset to play with them outside or go hiking. But the white dogs, they deflect the sun better, so the body deflects the sun better. So that's actually. But I would, for that reason, when the black fur absorbs the heat, so the dogs should always be kept in a shade wherever they are on the planet, and dogs always make sure that they have the perfect temperature in the room. They should have it about 70 to 80 degrees, and they should not be exposed to heat, like for example dogs left in cars. That's absolutely criminal. Dogs have died gruesome death in overheated cars, and it's horrific. I almost passed out when I read this. This is so unbelievably horrific. People don't realize what they do. Even if they leave a window open when the temperature is over 100 degrees, and they leave a dog in the car for, some people forget the dogs, they go somewhere drinking in Vegas, they leave the dog in the car and the dog dies. It's absolutely horrific. That's why in Las Vegas they have laws now. Good people have fought for that. That's great. I thank all of them that it's against the law, and people will be penalized for leaving their dogs in the car when they go gambling or something. So I recommend to not leave a dog longer than half an hour in the car, and to wind the windows halfway down, and make sure you park in the shade. And if you live in a climate that rises over 100 degrees, leave the dog probably at home with the air conditioners on, and don't leave him waiting for too long for you, because dogs are like babies. So when I was living in LA, I noticed that all of these women there, that was in the 90s, they were really, really, really skinny, as they are today in LA. The ones who model, or the actors, and then a lot of them are bulimic because they spit the food back out because they don't want the fat content to make fat cells, and that's even worse for their bodies if they do that. So I was living among all these anorexic people, and I was chubby, and these anorexic people looked down on me, and I understood why. Because they see themselves as elegant and they see me as plump. But I was the one who got hit on. I was the one who got the man to cuddle with me, and they didn't. They got the man to go to dinner with them, and I didn't. It's very interesting. And then I ran into a girl, and she said the same thing to me. A real cute, chubby little girl in LA, and we sat down on the lawn, and she poured her heart out, and she told me that that her girlfriends that are very, very thin, they get courted, and every man wants them, and they want them as a possession, like a jewel, you know. And they take him out to dinner, and she probably has a very liberal dating circle. I used to have that myself in the past. I no longer am for liberal dating, where you have multiple partners. We used to have multiple partners. I had multiple boyfriends. My boyfriends each had multiple women, and that's just how we were back then, because we were punks. And today I'm much more settled. I'm much more reclusive. I don't feel comfortable with this chaotic lifestyle anymore, and particularly not with all these substances that we used to take. So I quit all of that at 25 because I knew it was a dead-end street and I wanted to live and I had something else to do in my life. And so, but that girl, when I met her, she was still in her early 20s and she was still a little bit flippant, and they were still partying and probably not as hard as I was. That was a whole lot more cute and more like a picnic towards this punk era that I grew up in. So, but she was so lovely. She wasn't looking punk. She didn't wear any torn black clothing. She was wearing a beautiful white blouse with puffed arms, shoulders, and showing her décolleté and her cleavage, and she had boobs, and really beautiful and full-bodied and just gorgeous. And she felt bad. She felt bad. She felt rejected. She had a boyfriend there with her, and I was also her best companion, and so I'm glad they found each other, and he likes her the way she is, and that's great. But she complained to me about these other guys that she hung out with before, and the way they treated her. They had multiple girlfriends, and they had her for cuddling, and they had the skinny girls for taking them out to the public and showing them off and going to expensive restaurants and pretending to be some kind of big shot. And so, and I thought, typical, this is the typical thing, you know, and I've seen it myself many times, over and over and over again. And so this is absolutely, I see this so bleak, you know, a woman skinny who feels courted and who feels complimented, and who's fed into this terrible cycle of destruction by these compliments and by all these people adoring her, you know, her elegant looks and all of this, and then it just gets fed more and more into this loop. And but she doesn't realize that the woman who is cuddled with is the chubby girl, you know, is the other girlfriend that is waiting at home, lonely, and feeling rejected, feeling casted out by society, feeling like she doesn't belong into that circle, feeling like she's ordinary or she's mundane. And in reality, she's the one who's healthy, she's the one who's embracing her life, embracing her body, and she's the one who's sexual. And the men know that, their dicks know it, of course, their bodies know it. So their whole hormonal system knows it. But their egos want to go out with the lady with the collarbones, because their egos, they want to be seen as noble or high-ranking. And it is very unfortunate that it has taken a turn into this type of peer pressure, that the public is regarding this skinniness as noble and refined, and regarding the plumpness as ordinary. So this has to come back to a balance. Absolutely, it needs to be balanced out, and I am very sad to see that fashion designers are catering into the same cycle of destruction. And my appeal to them is, please don't do it. I used to be a fan of Calvin Klein. I used to be a fan of Hermes and of Versace and many other, Chanel, and yet I see many of them do this. I think Vivienne Westwood does not use really anorexic women. I don't know. Maybe she has some skinny photo models and models for her fashion shows. But she also has plumper models. She has different fashion shows for different size groups. So that's already a really great step in the right direction. And I don't think she supports the really anorexic ones, the unhealthy ones. Vivienne Westwood is a very caring woman. She is an animal rights activist. She does not use any animal products in her fashion line. It's all 100% vegan. And that's why I support Vivienne Westwood. If I had money, I would buy clothes from her, and I would buy her accessories and different things and hats. So I recommend that to people. I make my clothes myself because I have to cut it short financially. It is a terrible economic crisis right now, and we live basically on the bare minimum. We haven't even rented out the other house, so no income right now, living on really lousy interest. So yeah, so you have to be inventive when the economy crisis hits. You gotta get very inventive, and you need to recycle, and you need to make clothes out of old clothes. You can do that. I mean, I sew by hand. It's very nice, meditative. I love it. I made this t-shirt here myself. I don't want to show too much. But yeah, so this is great. Anyway, the plump girl, I felt I felt like hugging her. I think I hugged her before we left. And wonderful girl, very caring, very sweet, loves animals. And so I told her that I have experienced the same thing, and that she should never feel bad about herself, ever, 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 that she's gorgeous, and that she found the perfect boyfriend, and they should stay together, and always stay with the people who like you the way you are, and not go anywhere near people who are contemptuous in any way, or say anything contemptuous about you, or matter of fact about anybody. If you hear somebody be contemptuous of anybody, stay away from those people, because that doesn't get you anywhere. Some contempt is justified, like, I have contempt for animal testing, of course. That is justified, but we should not be talking contemptuously or sarcastically about anybody, about any individuals, because it doesn't get us any further. It just causes more problems in the world. It just fuels more war. So we need to respect each other, not respect cruelty ever. When you see somebody being cruel, you have to be mother bear, you have to step in, and you have to help. And that doesn't mean to put the other person down with words. That just means stepping in and being proactive and helping the battered individual, whether it's an animal or a person. So, but the war of words, that's not getting us anywhere, whatever we do. So it's never good to provoke your opponent, if you want to use that word, or the person that you're dealing with, or that you are confronted with in any kind of difficult situation. So don't be hostile, don't put them down, don't insult them, don't use sarcasm on people. And it happens very fast, sarcasm. I've experienced that myself as well. It's a passive aggressiveness, and it doesn't get us anywhere. We need to cut that out. We need to come to our senses and quit all of this.